Hey guys, Sonic's here. Pokémon Red and Blue. For many of us, this is where the journey really began. As a so-called veteran of the franchise, Generation 1 is so full of nostalgia for me, and I have so many memories connected to these games. The countless hours spent playing these games on warm summer evenings, the coldest of winter mornings, as well as the playground interactions with friends I still talk to today. Pokémon Red and Blue were the first games to be released outside of Japan and were localized into many European languages, such as French, Italian, Spanish and German. They were so popular that they are officially ranked as the second best-selling games for the Game Boy, second only to Tetris. For many people, the reference point of Pokémon could often be Red or Blue version. Their critical success was a benchmark for the series and a driving force for the popularity that still exists today. In today's video, I'm going to be bringing you 5 facts about Pokémon Red and Blue that I found most interesting. So whether you're a Generation 1 veteran like myself or a newcomer to the franchise, let's dive into some trivia about the games we first loved. Number 5. Mistranslations. In my previous video about Pokémon Green, I noted that Pokémon Red and Blue outside of Japan were actually built using the script from Japan's Blue version. As a result, there are a few mistranslations due to the various differences that this version contains. Whilst those games themselves are actually largely the same, there were in fact changes made to Blue version which those outside of Japan never got to experience. These range from wild encounters differing to in-game trades. An NPC on Cinnabar Island, for example, offers to trade you an Electrode for your Raichu. He then goes on to say that his Raichu went and evolved. As Raichu did not have an evolution, many players believed it was going to receive one in the upcoming Gold and Silver games. We now know, however, that this was simply an oversight by the localization teams that were using Blue's script. In this version, the same NPC offers to trade you a Graveler for your Kadabra. Both of these, as you probably know, require a trade to evolve. A similar incident also takes place with another trade in Cerulean City. In Japan's Blue version, the player has the opportunity to trade a Machoke for a Haunter. Again, both of these Pokemon require a trade to evolve. However, in Red and Blue versions outside of Japan, the trade was changed to the player receiving a Jinx for the player's Poliwhirl, whilst using the script from Japan's Blue version. An NPC will then say the Pokemon they received went and evolved. Whilst Politoed did come a generation later, it sadly wasn't foreshadowing by Game Freak. You'll get your turn, buddy, don't worry. Number 4. The US version was almost different. The version that the USA received could have been so different to what we know today, had the team charged with bringing Pokemon to the States been given the correct permission. In an interview with Japanese TV, Ishihara, CEO of the Pokemon Company, stated that the US team wanted to change many designs of the Pokemon in the ROM to better reflect the anime designs due to the ever-growing popularity. The team went as far as designing artwork to present to the CEO, but he refused to accept the proposals. The game was translated and made available for players across the US to enjoy. Despite the overwhelming popularity of the games, there was in fact extensive criticism for the designs of certain Pokemon. They were labelled ugly, broken, or incorrect. This was largely due to the anime's success, as players had a basis for comparison. The designs were demonstified, if you will, as well as colorized. One design in particular that was targeted was Koffing's, whose Generation 1 sprite barely reflects that of the anime. As a result of the criticism, Game Freak decided to make Pokémon Yellow, which featured much improved coloured sprites as well as a story that mirrored the show. Which do you think has the ugliest Generation 1 sprite? Number 3. You can't really catch them all. Everyone knows that trading and interacting with other players is a key element to the series, if you really do want to earn your stripes as a Pokemon Master at least. However, there's actually some misinformation on the box for Red and Blue version regarding just how many Pokemon you can catch if you had no friends. According to the blurb on the box, 139 different Pokemon are available to the player without the use of trading. This, however, includes Pokemon that the player must choose between during the journey. This means that the true total for any one playthrough of the games is actually 124. The choices the player must leave behind if you don't have a link cable are 2 of the starters, 1 of the fossils, 2 evolutions, either Hitmonlee or Hitmonchan, and finally 4 of the trade evolution Pokemon. This actually led to criticism from critics surrounding the marketing of the games, though many people simply refer to it as an oversight, as trading is clearly pointed out to be a key element. Praise Helix. Number 2. Rebattle after rebattle after rebattle. During the debugging process of Pokémon Green version, it was originally intended that trainers in-game would constantly rebattle you, at higher and higher levels every time your eyes met. The encounter rates for wild Pokémon were also significantly higher than the final version. In an interview with Ishihara, it was confirmed that trainer rebattles were removed to ensure balance, and encounter rates were significantly lowered to ensure players would not get frustrated and bored. He's quoted as saying it would have taken an hour to pass through forests and upwards to half a day to pass through a cave, as an encounter would happen every 2 or 3 steps. To say this is a good thing will be an understatement. Could you really imagine a Zubat every 2 or 3 steps? Wait, no, actually, it still feels like that. Number 1. 150 original Pokemon? More like 190. In an interview with Shigeki Morimoto, game designer and programmer for Game Freak, he confirmed that there were originally going to be 190 Pokemon in Generation 1. Generation 1 games have a hidden Pokemon listing, which differs greatly from the visible Pokédex order. This is called Index Order. There are a total of 190 index numbers in the game's ROM, 39 of which have been formatted. Oddly, through data manipulation of Generation 1 through glitching, you can actually force these Pokemon to appear as missing no, typed as Bird Normal type. Bonus fact, Flying type was originally meant to be Bird type. Morimoto's statement matches perfectly with what's left on the ROM. It's not possible to predict which Pokemon were intended to be included, as once traded to Generation 2, they become the Pokemon which matches the Pokédex number, not the internal hex number. An example of this would be catching Missing No hex number 32, which once traded becomes Heracross. It's often debated which Pokemon were intended to be part of Generation 1, though this can only really be looked at accurately by reviewing beta artwork. We're probably never likely to find out which 39 Pokemon were formatted from Generation 1, but artwork of Tyranitar, Chikorita, and Marill leaves us pretty certain at least that these were some of the Pokemon that were left out. For a full list of these Pokemon and their internal index numbers, see the link in the description below. It's a pretty interesting read. So there you have it, 5 facts about Pokémon Red and Blue. These games are so special to so many people that it's really hard to imagine just how different they could have been. Which Pokemon would you have liked to have seen in the original generation? Be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, guys. Happy training.